The Deadlights eyes.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I'll play again.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Killer, Mom.
I'm just gonna bash you with things.
What's blood for? If not for shedding.
Welcome to 31 Days of Horror Movies. I'm your host, Sam Johnston. And with me, I have a very special guest today. My lifelong best friend, Connor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We just watched Sinister from 2012, directed by Scott Derrickson, written by Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. Washed-up true crime writer Ellison Oswalt finds a box of Super 8 home movies in his new home that suggests the murder that he is currently researching is the work of a serial killer whose legacy dates back to the 1960s.
And that time alone is scary.
Yeah.
When I think about the 1960s, I think about war and a new media where it's covering a lot more murders and crimes. I feel like 60s, 70s, and then 80s maybe, there were a lot of coverage of serial killers.
Yeah.
So that alone terrifies me.
This movie starts off almost like a true crime movie.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, not much supernatural things happen. It's really just the main character investigating a crime, and it's not until almost, I want to say, a third to halfway through the movie that actually something paranormal / supernatural happens.
Yeah.
So it felt like I almost forgot that we were watching a horror movie for a little bit because it felt like a true crime movie for a while.
We bought into the main character's life as a true crime author.
Yeah. And they kept us there for long enough in that situation to forget that, oh shit, wait. We're in a horror movie.
Are we gonna die?
We start off with a hanging.
Yeah, pretty gruesome.
We literally start off with a hanging. And
Of a family.
Of a family of four. It almost feels like there's a bass or like a didgeridoo. You know what a didgeridoo, like big long thing, like really low, droning noises through this whole movie, especially when we're seeing the films. Muffle and like staticky. There's always static going on. A popping of films. It feels very degraded. It feels very disturbed. This is the start. This is the start of the movie. This is the beginning, and it immediately sets the tone of what we're about to get into. Mm-hmm. And then we see the house. We see move-in day for Ellis and his family, and it's set up pretty well within this first scene of them moving in between the sheriff and his wife. It's set up that he is a true crime writer who had a very successful book 10 years ago. Did they say it came out?
Yeah. 10 years.
It's been like a decade since that really successful book.
He's really living in the past.
Through this whole movie.
Yeah. Getting worse and worse, drinking more whiskey.
And even the cop that he talks to is like, your last two books were flops. Your last two books sucked. So he's had
the first dialogue.
Yeah. The cop shows up to his house and immediately is like, you should move out. I just thought it was like interesting that the sheriff was like, we need to forget.
Yeah, just move past it.
Just move past it.
Yeah.
There's a missing girl. Just forget about it.
Yeah.
Ellis's character is almost like a police officer. He's he's an investigator. Essentially,
he's got the boards in his office.
Yeah.
He's tracking each murder.
And
he looks like a detective.
Yeah, and he's acting like one too. Yeah. This is when we have the scene between him and Tracy where she's like, why did he come around? Like, please don't tell me that we moved in 2 doors down from the victim's house.
It'd be terrible to be 2 doors down.
Yeah.
Not the house where
it
happened.
Ellis pulls a pretty good move where he's like, I promise you, we didn't move in 2 doors down from the victim's house.
Yeah.
He's not lying.
No, he's not. He's thinking about his story, his book, his legacy. Everything else that comes with him is just baggage that he will deal with.
Mm-hmm. And she falls for it a lot. And I don't blame her because I think he is good at spinning things into... He's very egotistical through this entire film.
Clearly. Yeah.
And he turns a lot of things back onto himself of like, this is my last chance. You know, like, please give me this last chance to find fame again. He's able to almost use his past success to convince her to do many things. Like, I had that once. I can do this again. Yeah.
But not with the last 2 books.
And I will just forget about those. Well, and then there's this conversation where she questions that. She's like, they're in bed together, and she's like, what if that was your 15 minutes? Which is a very...
Talk about pillow talk. That is rough.
That is a hard pillow. It's like a rock for a pillow.
Yeah.
When we come into this movie, this story has to be... It has to be the success. It has to be a success.
Everything that he said it would be.
Yes. It has to be. Because if it isn't, then she's going to leave. She's going to take the kids too. He has a lot of pressure on him to make this story a absolute success. And he wants it to be an absolute success. But it seems like his motives are more just for himself rather than making it a success for his family. And that's when we get the moment of the scorpion, which at that moment seems extremely random.
Bizarre. They're in Pennsylvania.
And then you said, this is Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This makes zero sense.
Not a native animal.
Yeah, not at all.
Doesn't make any sense.
But he just, smashes it.
Yeah. And then you see an indent of where he smashed it. And that stays during the entire film of that box.
Yes.
He draws that box and on his post-it note and then puts it up on his wall. Where is that box? Where did it come from?
Yes. That box that he finds under the floorboards, right? Becomes the centerpiece of this entire investigation. It jumpstarts his new investigation.
Okay.
After he finds the 8-film projector and all the tapes, we go to a scene where we see the whole family together for the first time. It's like the dinner scene.
Yeah, that's right.
And the son is talking about, can you just tell me like what the case is? In this scene they set up that he first off, he's the one that's talking back to his parents all the time throughout this movie.
Yeah, the little girl is quiet, just being a good
little
daughter.
They set up immediately. Alice goes into her room. She's painting on the walls, and she's just an artist, and she's very quiet, which I think is very interesting. That the first scene that we see the daughter in, she's painting the walls.
Yeah.
Which, thinking about the end, painting the walls, yikes. Yeah, they do a great job of giving you the information without you even realizing it, and also diverting your attention to the son, because the son is the disturbed one. He's the one that has night terrors and is sleepwalking all the places. And
I wrote it. Son possessed. I didn't have anything about the daughter. Nothing.
Then he looks at the box of tapes and he's like, fuck it. Obviously, the first thing that he sees is this home video with his family turned hanging, which is the first thing that we saw in the movie. And he's discovering it. And as soon as he sees that, the camera immediately tracks into him, and it feels like it is a change. Like he is changed and the movie is changing. We're going to a darker part of this story. It's a lot of close-ups of him, and he's
a lot of
drinking that whiskey. And
dark background.
He's
lit well.
He's lit very well. The images are in his eyes, and it's a lot of we're now very close to him, and we're getting closer and deeper into the story.
Yeah. He's not allowing himself to go out of the room, out of the office, and we are too.
Very, very quickly dives into these tapes. But he then is like, what's the next one?
Let's pull it out.
Let's see what we got.
Get some whiskey.
He has this like an insatiable desire for the truth or what he thinks of.
He even says that he needs it. Like, he needs this to stay alive. Like, he needs to write this story and to get the justice out. Which is not even like the justice of the family. He's not thinking about the families or the missing kid.
No.
He's thinking about, I'm going to become a star after this. My name will be known. I have a legacy. That's all he cares about.
He uses justice as an excuse for his ego.
And in the very first interview, we hear him or see him while he's watching himself, because he's that egotistical. He's watching old VHS tapes that he's saved. And he's just like getting off on him saying like, I will never write for money, or, you know, I will always cut my own hands off for justice.
He is obsessed with himself, or at least his old self.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also like almost disgusted at. I can't tell if he's disgusted at his old self or his own self.
Oh.
He watched the tape that we saw at the beginning, and then we're just like getting more and more tapes one after another, because the next
keep up with it.
Yeah, the next one that we watched is the family barbecue. They did, clearly.
You can see that it was edited too. There's a clear cut of fire and then, or no fire, then fire.
Mm-hmm.
So you know something's happening.
There's editing going on.
You don't know who's controlling the camera, and he even writes that on his detective board because he is such a true crime expert. So we don't know that, and we're still thinking like, all right, who is this serial killer? This is a serial killer case and not a paranormal case.
Yes.
So we're not thinking about the creepy crawlies in the dark.
There's a bang in the hallway, and he comes out, and it's just, again, just very drawn out, long shots. The hallways seem to be super long in this house, and he's approaching a moving box, and then opens up. It's the son, backwards, just
Hands on the ground.
It's
Possessed.
And it goes from so silent to so loud in such so fast, where it's like, oh, that is horrifying.
Yeah. I forgot that little snippet that they had in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So when he came out, I was like, he's possessed. I wrote it down there, son possessed.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way like he's not. Like this being is taking him over. He is evil. I'm not focusing about the other daughter. She's totally in the background. She's asleep. And, Elliot is the only one that's hearing and seeing all of this.
Mm-hmm. The next scene, it's breakfast the next day. And they're kind of making light of the situation. So you found me in a box? Oh, man, that's crazy. Like, oh no! And the mom's like, oh, it was another night terror. We took care of it. And the daughter offhandedly says, oh, I think I had a night terror. And then Ellis is like, oh no, you didn't have a night terror. He just dismisses it completely. She probably did see a ghost or Bagul or whatever. And they're doing a very good job of just sneaking these little lines in here. We see the pool time tape. Pool time tape is the family all taped up on the lawn chairs.
It's disturbing?
Well, it's definitely disturbing. But it's the first time we see Bagul.
In the reflection. Or in the water?
In the water. This movie turns from, okay, this is the first kind of supernatural thing that we have going on. And actually as soon as Bagul looks up to the camera in the water, the next shot that we have of Ellis watching it is a handheld shot. We go back to the tapes.
Yeah.
Ellis goes back to bed. I wrote down bedtime tape. I think it was a family tied down to the beds, and then the knife.
Oh yeah. And the dog too.
Yeah.
A little chihuahua.
Little chihuahua in there. And every time we saw the knife slashes, they were in his glasses. We saw them mostly in the reflection of his glasses. Mm-hmm. As if he's taking in this information, and it's pretty fucking fucked up.
Yeah, just seeing the reflections, your gut hurts.
Yeah.
And then seeing his eyes drop and just his facial reaction of drinking and to...
I think in that scene this is the first time he's actually like drinking from the bottle. He's not just drinking from the cup. He's like drowning.
Right to the source.
Yeah, straight from the bottle. That's the moment I feel like you asked, is he the only one who's hearing this?
Yeah.
Which, that's an interesting question because I don't know. Like, a lot of this, because there's a crash in the attic, he finds a scorpion, he finds a snake, he's finding all this stuff. There's a lot of creaking going on in the house, but he seems to be the only one that's following the noises and hearing it. And I had never thought about that before.
And he checks up on his family, too.
Yeah.
He makes sure they're all there, they're all sleeping. If I was part of that family, I'd be like, what the fuck is Dad doing up there?
Right.
Like, I don't hear shit. Or I'm hearing that same thing. I'm up there checking it out. Maybe the director doesn't want us to think that, so... But I think he's definitely the only one that sees it or hears it for now. But the daughter, has that little girl in her room as well.
I don't think the wife is hearing anything. I don't think the son is hearing anything.
She's in the dark again.
And I think the son is just a red herring. He's just he has night terrors, and that's just something that he's dealing with. I don't think that has anything to do with actually what's going on in the house.
It's just a reality.
There's a moment, again, where we're setting up the end without us even realizing it. The daughter asks the mom, can we make coffee for Daddy?
Oh, yeah.
And then the mom is like, well, we got to make it right. And there's this kind of like little tiny montage of them making the coffee upright and the daughter delivering it to his door. And she's like, Daddy, have your coffee. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then he immediately gets a call and closes the door on her face. And she's just standing there. Just so neglected. This character is just neglected. No one's paying attention to her. But it's just this like tiny little moment that is going to come back later to his downfall that he doesn't notice. The audience probably doesn't notice.
No.
You didn't notice.
I remember when they were making the coffee.
Right.
But not that little detail.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And the projector starts running by itself for the first time, and he hears the...
That's creepy.
Yeah, he hears... And by now, we all know that sound of the projector going. And
insert audio here.
He just switches it off. He's just like, that was weird. Whatever. And he's looking at his board again. He takes off the picture of the ghoul. He compares it to the backyard, and then
the bushes.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out where it was in the backyard, and then he pulls it away, and the ghoul is there.
Yeah,
I knew
freaks us out.
I knew it was coming, but I was still.
I screamed.
It's like a hair standing. It's creepy. It's so fast too.
It is.
They don't even.
He's gone in an instant.
Yeah.
Too.
They don't hang on. He moves a picture and they hang on it for maybe a second. They cut away to his reaction and then he's gone. It's not even like they really even stay there for that long. It's just like, did that even happen? It's scenes like this where Ethan Hawke is convincing Tracy that everything is okay. That I think that these performances, his performance is great. I think that his performance through this whole movie is very, very good. He's teetering between holding it all together and everything falling apart very well. And he's just convincing not only his wife but himself that this is for the story. And he has these just moments of just constraint, this is my shot. He's not yelling it. He never yells at her completely, but he just does this almost whispered yelling.
Very contracted, just
holding
frustration.
Holding it all in here. And
I can't tell you all this because it's gonna freak you the fuck out.
Yeah, he's holding back.
This is a legit performance where it's oh shit, I feel this as a human being. It's not just performance or silly, just like gory film. This feels real.
Yeah.
Like, this could fucking happen. Like, there's true crime podcasts and shows and books everywhere. It's a top selling genre right now. So it feels like something that could happen, and an author could buy into this, or there could be the Bagul who takes over.
Mm-hmm. So the next note that I have down is the next video that he watches. I'm not videotape that he watches, which is lawn work. That was a wild one.
Yeah.
That, I think, of all the tapes, stands out to me always.
Each home video starts off, a home video.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this happy family. And then you notice, like, oh, wait, this camera's in the bushes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not part of the family.
No.
Who's filming this? He asked that in one of the first scenes also, like, who's filming?
It's very voyeuristic.
Yeah.
Watching the family, not part of them.
But with that one, it felt like a longer run-up time to the actual torture. It was always happy, and then torture and death.
Yeah.
This one was a little family time, and then lawnmower getting started up, going on the lawn, all of a sudden, mom.
Yeah.
And then the noise.
Oh!
That was it. We didn't see anything else. Maybe a reflection in his glass.
I
don't think we saw anything else besides that.
I think
because we knew it was gruesome.
Yeah, that's all we needed to see. That first moment of the ghoul becoming real.
Pit.
Peace. Let's go. Burn it.
It's kind of funny that cameras can like capture ghosts or spirits, but the human eye can't. Like, it's not that advanced of a technology, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the one thing we got against them.
It's a restriction that humans have against this force that we can't understand or control. But it is something, it's a tool that we can use against them. And it's also restrictive too, because we can only see them with this tool. It's restrictive to Ellis. He's trying to understand what's going on only through the film.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as it comes to the reality in this moment, whoa, no, I'm out of here. We're done.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's move out of here. There's a separation. It kind of becomes like, I'm safe because I'm outside of this. And so he literally moves his family out. He's done. He burns the film.
Back to his mansion.
Back to his mansion.
Life's going to be great.
He's driving everyone out of the town, and his daughter's like, are we going home? And he's like, yeah, we're moving out of here. And she just smiles.
She knows it's going to be good for her.
Exactly. Because she knows that the move means it's going to be the murder.
Yeah.
It's about to be the ritual.
She can continue the sacrifice.
Yep. He has been drinking coffee this whole time. And
that's why you got to drink whiskey.
That's why you got to drink whiskey, man.
All throughout the day and night.
Don't go back to the coffee.
Never. You don't need caffeine.
But in the coffee, good night, Daddy.
Before she, slashes him or Tracy and Trevor with the big axe is, don't worry, Daddy, I'm going to make you famous. And she's not wrong. Without her, there'd be a way more boring book or one that's just not finished.
The whole time he's been ignoring his family. He's only been focused on the story. Mm-hmm. And almost, it's like this idea of, you can't see the trees through the forest. Mm-hmm. He can't see everything that's going on around him because he's so focused on trying to tell this story. And in the end, that's his downfall, because the child that he has been neglecting to give any attention to is actually the one that is cutting off his head at the end. I keep thinking about The Shining. I keep thinking about just this unraveling of a writer,
Can we talk about The Shining real quick?
Absolutely.
Because there's multiple scenes where it's like straight out of The Shining.
Yeah.
Story or just visual.
Oh, for sure.
The girl in the hallway with blood.
Yeah.
Shining.
That's
the most shiny moment there is.
Yeah. That's the twins shot right there.
The author being so involved in the story, not being part of his family.
There was
a young child who is possessed or sees a spirit.
And also Wendy, his wife, who is devoted to him, wants to support her husband in his pursuit of his passion, but is also terrified of the person he's becoming because of that pursuit.
Oh, the sponsors today are, of course, let me get this. It is Jepson's. Jepson's, is that a J?
Jepson's, yeah.
Jepson's, my lord. Liqueur from the good old Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Drink it if you want to get drunk and have a good time. We will see you next time on 31 Days of Horror Films.
Thank you, Connor, for plugging our sponsors. And you can find me at BeepBeepBridgieT on Instagram. And check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this at. But, hey, until tomorrow, thank you, Connor.
Thank you.
But let's get spooky, huh?
Ooh.
There's a ghoul in my house. The ghoul is gonna kill me.
I'm gonna eat your children.
I'm gonna eat your children. They're yummy.